and wanted to put the small Gulf country on the map. So he made billions off of Qatar's natural gas shales and used that oil money to bribe FIFA. And FIFA looked at them and saw all the human rights atrocities committed by Qatar and said, here you go. World Cup for 2022, baby. Because if you thought FIFA gives two shits about human rights, let me remind you who they gave the last World Cup to. Oh yeah, good old Toot Putin, baby. Yeah, it was rough. It was looking like people were living in FEMA tents, and dudes were rolling up on golf carts and smashing news reporters' cameras. But to be fair, once the games began, things ran rather smoothly. And as the teams headed into the dance in the desert, let us remember who were the favorites coming in.
Go time wizard!
And top of the odds to win the World Cup this year are Brazil. Now, I think when most Americans think of the World Cup, the first thing that comes to mind is Brazil. And with good reason. Historically, they've won the most World Cups, coming in with 5, and the style in which they play the beautiful game is often dazzling, flashy. Think the Showtime Lakers, but in green and yellow. But it's been a little bit of a lull for the South American Giants. They haven't captured glory since the early 2000s. But coming into Qatar, they are in scintillating form, not losing a single game in South American football. They will once again be spearheaded by Neymar Jr., who will be surrounded by a new wave of exciting but untested talent at this point. Names like Martin, Anthony, and Vinicius Jr. will give Brazil all the shiny new toys when it comes to attack. And kind of surprisingly for Brazil, they are spoiled for choice at keeper with 2 all-world players in Ederson and Alisson. But make no mistake, this team is not exactly flawless. Their favorite for a reason, Neymar, is always a monster when he dominates the Brazilian number. But I just get this feeling that in a quarterfinal or in a semifinal, or God forbid the final, their defense might let in a goal or two. Or in one of these matches, they could struggle to find goals. And personally for me, I think the favorites are who the oddmakers have as the second best chances to win the World Cup. And that team is Argentina. Oh, Argentina. I could wax poetic about how this is one of the best overall rosters going to Qatar. As usual, they are spoiled with choice and attacking options. And unlike Argentinian sides of the past, they actually have a defense. And they're not just good, they're fucking nasty. I'm not even kidding you. One of the defenders, Lisandro Martinez, his nickname is the Butcher. This defense, if they don't win the ball off you, they'll just destroy you instead. And now that they actually have a quality keeper for once, this is the best defense Argentina has featured in my lifetime. But this is all window dressing, because the real story here is about one man. You know his name, Lionel Messi. The living legend has announced at the age of 35 that this will be his final World Cup. And pretty much everyone who isn't from Portugal or Brazil is going to be rooting for him. The win at this tournament would cement Messi as the greatest player to ever kick a ball. An honor that he already honestly deserves, but a World Cup win would silence any doubt forever. And while he was dogged last year at PSG, this season has been a completely different story. We have seen him return to sensational form, a quality high enough that some are even saying that he is back to being the best player in the world. Now, Father Time has sapped some of his explosiveness, but his playmaking, dribbling, and finishing are just as game-shattering as ever. And then you factor in this game, which has been immaculate. You thought Brazil was good. Argentina hasn't lost a game since 2019, and the pandemic has come and gone since the last time Argentina lost a football. And you know, every player on this team will be on an emotional mess trying to win this World Cup for Messi. And the entire country of Argentina will be transferring their chi to the Argentinian Goku to spirit bomb the fuck out of this World Cup. It just feels like all the stars are perfectly aligned for Lionel Messi's last dance World Cup. They should easily get out of the group stages, but the path to the final could be littered with powerful enemies. And if you are a neutral or just a lover of sports, the simple and easy answer for who to root for at this World Cup is Lionel Messi and Argentina. And all right, coming in with the third best odds are the defending World Cup champions. Yes, the winners 4 years ago in Russia only come in with the third best odds, most likely because they were the hardest hit by the injury bug. Big names like Paul Pogba and N'Golo Kante, who were instrumental in their win in Russia 4 years ago, are going to be missing out in Qatar due to longer minutes. And beyond those two notable names, there's just been massive turnover with the squad, with many of the players that won the last World Cup missing out in Qatar due to injury, old age, or being But don't count them out just yet, because here's the thing. France has so much talent that even with all these big names missing, they still have a shot to go back-to-back. These baguette-loving motherfuckers are stacking golden generation on top of golden generation over there. And the big name on the marquee is Mbappe. He's only gotten better since 4 years ago. He's probably going to be in the race for the Golden Boot Award at this World Cup. You got Antoine Griezmann. Well, let's be honest, he's sucked dick for club recently, but every time he plays for France, he becomes a goal machine. The biggest question is we've just never seen a lot of these kids under the big lights. But you could say the same thing about training favorites Brazil or even Argentina. But France is going to go into this tournament with probably the most talented team from top to bottom On paper, they have the best front three of anyone in this tournament, and thus, they have a chance to be the first back-to-back winners of the World Cup since 1962. And then, with the fourth best odds to win the World Cup this year, are the country that invented the sport, jolly old England. Now, after overperforming 4 years ago in Russia, and runners-up at Euro 2020, you would think that there would be more hype around this team. I mean, for God's sake, they had Pokemon in the fucking promo for Euros last year. But in dreary old England, there seems to be a bit of doubt about this team. Now, I can't tell if this is actually warranted or if it's just the ceaseless pessimism English people naturally possess. But I feel like they do have some legit concerns because one of the best players, Reece James, was yet another victim of picking up an injury at exactly the wrong time. He's one of the best right backs in the world and will be sorely missed in this team. And their coach, Gareth Southgate, has been under some fire lately, as he opted not to bring the sparkling defender Tomori to Qatar. A huge head-scratcher, considering that Tomori is widely considered as the most informed defender that England has right now. And with Trent Alexander-Arnold about as reliable defensively as a toilet paper roll, and old concrete foot Harry Maguire trying to run down Mbappe, I can see why people in England might be a little nervous. But despite all these dark clouds, Gareth Southgate has generally had the golden touch once a major tournament kicks off, and they are spoiled for choice in inform attacks. With Harry Kane being one of the best strikers at this tournament, and he will most likely be flanked by the likes of Phil Foden, Marcus Rashford, or Saka, all of whom have been in excellent form for the domestics. And their midfield features one of the most exciting talents in the world, Jude Bellingham. This kid is a do-it-all midfielder destined to cost some European giant $120 million this summer. If England go far, Jude will definitely play a big role in that. And the young Starlets will be surrounded by depth. This squad is battle-tested. Their golden generation is peaking at just the right time. And with a wide open field at this World Cup, could football finally be coming home? And I think they have a fucking decent shot at it. Just as long as they avoid their main nemesis, a penalty shootout. Yeah, just historically, if England go to a penalty shootout, they might as well get on the plane, because it doesn't end well. And on that note, I still don't know why they didn't bring Ivan Toney. Southgate, how do you not bring the one dude who does the one thing your country sucks at? My man is Steph Curry from the spot, and y'all left him at home? Yeah, I get that some people want to take that. And yes, he's made some real head scratchers like this team. But every team in this tournament has won. It's a weird World Cup. The vibes are just a little bit bizarro. From the venue to the teams, everybody is just making some weird choices lately. And that is why, honestly, beyond these four favorites, I could make an argument for a dozen teams to be in the fifth spot. Like Spain, who look to build off of a resurgent Euros performance. They're going to be going Tiki-Taka 2.0, featuring an exciting midfield of youngsters Pedri and Gavi, two of the most highly rated and up-and-coming stars in the world. And honestly, my next best guess after them is just someone random. Someone's going to come out of nowhere this year and make a Cinderella run. Croatia did it the last World Cup, so it's not that far-fetched. And there are a handful of sleeper teams that have the quality to go balls deep in Qatar. And I should say no homo, because that's also not a option. But these teams, like Denmark, Uruguay, Netherlands, even Portugal, they all have sneaky good squads. And I can see get hot and make a run. And I just feel like this World Cup could be utter chaos. And chaos is a ladder. And then the group stages happened. Now, if I could summarize the group stages into a headline, it would be crazy upsets, then right back to earth. Because the first shocker came bang, right out of the gate. Saudi Arabia beating tournament favorites Argentina. Saudi Arabia took it to Messi. It shocked the world. Arguably the greatest upset in World Cup history. I can't name a goddamn player on Saudi Arabia. And they went up and punched the fucking goat right in the testicles. And the reaction from the Saudis, I mean, it says it all. Look at this. Look at this. This man just said, fuck your door. And then you got AK-47s going full clip in the air. And the best thing to come out of this upset is this shit.
경기가 끝나고도 기쁨을 만끽했습니다. Congratulations! Thank you so much!
This viral clip single-handedly made Saudi fans out of all of us. And importantly, every player on the Saudi team has been promised a Rolls Royce when they return from the World Cup. And how did they follow up this historic upset? They lost against Poland due to a horror mistake made by the defender, and then they got their ass blasted by Mexico to finish bottom of the group. As I said, crazy upsets, then back to earth. Yeah, maybe the Rolls Royces might get repoed. But then we have the second big upset, and that was the moment when the World Cup was in. I said in my last video that the World Cup is just an anime tournament arc. And then it came true, and Japan did it in a kit that was designed by the guy who made the Blue Lock anime, a popular soccer manga and anime in Japan. You couldn't make this shit up. And at first, I mean, like, Germany looked like they were in complete control. They got the opener in the first half, they were taking it pretty easy in the second, and maybe a little bit too easy, with Rudiger high-stepping on the Japanese. But then Japan came out after the half and went full attack on time, getting 2 quick-fire goals to stun the crowd, and the Germans never recovered. And the reactions from Japan were amazing. Look at the Japan win at famous Shibuya Crossing, all while being polite enough that they would actually run back to the street to let cars pass. And this is apparently how the Japanese celebrate, by being as polite as humanly possible, with the Japanese fans continuing their long tradition of cleaning up the stadium after every World Cup match they have had. Win, lose, or draw. And even the players got in on that. This is how their locker room looked after this historic upset. Flawless victory. But, much like Saudi Arabia, they went on to lose their next game. But then, they repeated the script up against Spain, who up until this point was looking like one of the favorites at this tournament. It was pretty much the same thing. In the first half, Spain scored 1 and looked like they were in complete control. Japan couldn't even get a hold of the ball. But bang, right out of halftime, 2 subs. Basically, the same dude who scored in the first one did it again. And then the second goal is one of the most controversial calls in World Cup history. Look at how close this ball was from being out. In fact, a lot of people were debating that it actually was out. But VAR apparently found it inconclusive, and Japan held on for dear life, beating Spain 2-1 and topping the group, and in the process knocking Germany out of the group stages. This was the most chaotic moment of the World Cup so far, and I loved it. I loved it. And I'll always remember it as the time when the World Cup was anime. And then there was my favorite moment of this entire World Cup. And that was on the final day, in the final game of group stages, Cameroon was playing Brazil and needed a 2-goal win to advance. And the game was tied 0-0. But in the 92nd minute of extra time, Vincent Aboubakar scores a glorious running header. And instead of running and picking up the ball and trying to get a second goal to advance his country in the World Cup, he decided it was a better idea to rip off his shirt, get a yellow card, and then get sent off because he was already on a yellow card. And this man didn't give a f***. He just scored against Brazil, and that's all that mattered. As he held up his jersey to the crowd to see his name. Even the ref was smiling when he gave him a red card. Hey, but I guess if you're going to go out the World Cup, the most legendary way I've ever seen anyone go out. Cameroon, you're eliminated. God damn it, history will remember Aboubakar. So yeah, I would say those were the 2 kind of big shockers and highlights of the opening round. But enough of the appetizers. Let's get into what you really care about. How is Team USA looking? And so far, so good. Not bad. In the opener, we dominated Wales during the first half, and if not for an incomprehensibly stupid penalty given by Zimmerman, we could have easily won that game. But Zimmerman's a bum, so we came out of the game with only 1 point. Their next match was against England. And in the lead-up to that match, it was a toxic deluge on social media. After pummeling Iran, England fans were literally running through the streets naked. They were so hyped up that in England, all the talk wasn't if they would win against the U.S. It was only by how much they would win against the U.S. They thought they were going to absolutely batter us. And I hope to God, if you're American, that you just avoided Twitter before kickoff because it was a nuclear wasteland. And I mean more than nuclear. Any U.S. men's national team post was just bombarded with English fans posting a million 9/11 memes. Like, goddamn, chill, bro. Chill. But then the game began, and the U.S. actually outplayed England. Especially in the first half, we were dominating. At times, it looked like we were playing with an extra guy. He was so smothered. Now, it did end 0-0, but we made the better chances. We looked more likely to score, and our midfield of a 20-year-old, a 23-year-old, and a 24-year-old outplayed their $200 million midfield. Also, this draw meant that we kept our undefeated record up against England at World Cups. So please, remind every English fan about that every opportunity you have. Yeah, you might think about that before you post 9/11 memes next time. And speaking of which, you know what's the best part about that game? It was that afterwards, my Twitter timeline. Wait, what's that I hear? Is that the sound of freedom, England? On behalf of America, I can proudly say, suck my dick, England. Moving on to the next big question. With the group stages done, which country has emerged as the big favorite to win the tournament? Well, I'll tell you. The general consensus among everyone is, I don't know. Yeah, like no one's really sticking their neck out there saying they're like, oh yeah, France is so dumb. Oh, Brazil is definitely gonna win. No, it's just pretty much how people felt before the tournament is how they feel about the favorites now. Brazil was the betting favorites, and they've looked as expected. Now, they aren't playing with as much flair as the early 2000s, but its more pragmatic style has seen cruising to the knockout round thanks to one of the better defenses at this tournament. They still don't have a clear-cut striker, but the wingers are so damn good that it might not even matter. Vinny Jr. looks like his ass has rockets every time he's running down the wing. The big knock against his team now is Neymar got his ankle rolled up in game 1, and after the match, it looks like a great... Not good. But reports are that he'll be able to play in the knockout round. Is he going to be at 100%? Is he going to be at 80%? Still, I would say that they're the favorites until further notice. And then you had Argentina, who at first looked like they could be the big choke job of this tournament, because they opened with a shock loss to Saudi Arabia. And because of that, Messi faced elimination as soon as the second game. But that pressure could be building diamonds when his country needed him most. Lionel Messi returned from missing, brought balance to the Emirates, taking the game by the scruff of the neck and scoring a goal out of nothing. And as the little magician raced over to the Argentinian sand and let out a guttural scream, in that moment, you could see a country living through their avatar. They would go on to beat Mexico comfortably and followed that by battering Poland. So after that false start, they actually were top in the group. And with that, Lionel Messi's last dance World Cup is done dancing. And then we have France, who despite being hit with yet another major injury, they lost voluntarily with Karim Benzema right before the tournament started in training, but they didn't miss a beat. And honestly, it's between them and Spain on who's looked the best at the tournament so far. As I said before, they're so loaded with talent that it doesn't matter. Benzema was replaced by Olivier Giroud, who has apparently been underrated his whole career. The man just scores goals, and Kylian Mbappe is showing the world, telling them, basically, shut the up about Erling Haaland, okay? I'm here too, and I'm pretty good at putting a ball into the back of the net. And then there was England, who had been Jekyll and Hyde. They opened their campaign with an absolute decimation of Iran. It was 6-2, the second largest margin of victory of anyone in the group stage. They looked sensational, and then they go and follow that up by playing timid, hyper-conservative versus the U.S. And as I said before, they were basically outplayed by America. But then what do they do in the next match? They took Wales on the back and just looked damn near like an exhibition. And honestly, I don't know if we've seen this team at full tilt yet, which I think is a good thing for England. And Southgate just seems like he's under fire every time the team doesn't win by 3. But once again, at a major tournament, he's easily navigated the group stages. And beyond the USA game, England are looking like one of the best teams in this tournament. They have scored some lovely goals. Rashford being absolute dynamite when he gets the chance to play. I think the English don't want to jinx it, so no one's really talking about it, but this is a very winnable tournament for them, as long as they avoid a penalty shootout. And you know it's coming to England. And as for the surprise teams, Japan top of the group, beating 2 European superpowers in Spain and Germany, that was simply glorious. But my wee bass is already talked enough about anime, so moving on. I'm gonna eat some crow here because I was definitely wrong. I was wrong about Germany. Losing to Japan was not only humiliating, but ultimately sealed their fate, as they're going out in the group stages. This is their 3rd major tournament in a row that they've disappointed at. Then we have Belgium's golden generation, which never really generated any goal. Yes, they've been eliminated from the World Cup, and in the most heartbreaking fashion, with Lukaku missing chance after chance after chance. It was brutal. After that, he was unconsolable, sobbing like a child and falcon punching glass barrels. Sometimes, sport is absolutely brutal. But on a positive note, Spain has been a pleasant surprise. A lot of people, myself included, wrote Spain off. They don't have any superstars, and their golden generation was over a decade ago. But then they opened their campaign with the most one-sided destruction of any team in the tournament so far, shredding Costa Rica 7-0. And from that point on, they put everyone on notice. Tiki-taka is back, baby. And maybe we shouldn't sleep on Portugal because they have made it look easy. Ronaldo is out here claiming goals that aren't his, and Rafael is smiling even before the ball hits the back of the net. They were through to the knockout rounds by the end of game 2 and rested a bunch of the players in the loss to South Korea. Sensational ending to that match, by the way, if you didn't catch it. For you guys who don't know, South Korea needed a win in order to advance to the next round, and it was tied 1-1 in the 95th minute of extra time. And off of a corner, the kimchi god Heung-min Son broke forward. There was basically no one around him. He was surrounded by a forest of defenders. But somehow, through the foliage of legs, Sonny Boy found an assist that would push South Korea into the knockout round right at the death of the game. It was electric. Drama of the highest quality. And in that moment, the World Cup was K-pop. And as for sleepers, I'm not actually going to give any sleepers this time, because I'm a jinx. All my sleeper teams from the last video, Uruguay, Serbia, Denmark, all of them eliminated. So I'm not going to single any team out as sleepers. All I'm going to say is, much like every World Cup before, someone is going to come out of nowhere and make a run. And now that it's winner go home, David vs. Goliath are about to happen. Hope you enjoyed the appetizer, because here comes the main course. A healthy serving of chaos. Plenty of storylines abound. Morocco really surprising people, topping the group with Belgium, Croatia, and Canada. Maybe they could beat this tournament Cinderella. How much longer will the power of God and anime be on Japan's side? And can one of these African nations knock off a colonizer? That is what you get to look forward to this week at the World Cup. Oh, hello there, my sad American. I know that it's been a tough week for us, but the U.S. men's national team are out of the World Cup, and in devastating fashion, as we were put to the sword by the fucking British. But we weren't the only boys in blue packing our bags this week, as I'm also sad to say, the World Cup is no longer anime. The Samurai Blues have been the Cinderella darlings of this tournament, giant killing Europeans by day and cleaning up trash by night. They provided some of the most magical moments of this tournament and will sadly be missed. Speaking of missed, we really got to work on the penalties, man. Like, how do you go from free kick specialists like Honda and Nakamura and then be this bad at penalties? That shit was so trash, the Japanese fans tried to pick them up after the game. And we also had a bid farewell to the other Asian team, South Korea, who during this tournament basically copied the blueprint of Japan. They broke through to the knockouts for only the third time in their history. Heung-min Son donned the mask and played hero for a nation. And the power of BTS was on full display, on and off the pitch. And I'm not just talking about the song. Many of you might have missed this, but a random substitute on the Korean team had K-pop fans simping so hard that he went from 5 followers before the tournament started to now around 500,000 followers on Instagram after the tournament. All because he's hot, apparently. Now, the round of 16 kind of felt like that one round in the anime tournament when all the Rock Leagues get taken out. And a glistening World Cup feels a little bit less exciting with these 3 upset kings going home from Doha. But the World Cup matches, they keep going. Well, it's looking pretty chalk in the bracket. That also means it's all Kaiju class nations from here on out. Everyone on a collision course for each other. So buckle up. It's about to get pretty heavy. So now, let's talk about the big boys. And first up, they've been the front runners since the beginning, and they've been looking even better every match they play. It's Brazil. And yes, I'm gonna eat some crow here. I was skeptical about the team coming in, but they have answered every question I had about them emphatically. Their defense has been one of the most stout at this tournament, and even when a team can somehow break them down, Alisson was sensational due to the f***ing brick wall. And while they're not the super Sambas of the 1990s or early 2000s, they found a nice little balance with this newer kind of pragmatic defensive shape, while blending in with that Samba flair from years past. So much like annoying people how much they're dancing. I mean, get over it, man. I love it. I want to see them dance, so I'm cool. And then my last question is, who is going to be their main striker? After I asked that question, Richarlison has now scored 2 of the prettiest goals of this tournament. Thank you, my bleach-haired friend, for making me look like a dumbass. And with Neymar back from injury, this team is somehow looking better and better every game. And as if they didn't have enough motivation, now we're getting reports, and this is on a sad note, that the OG GOAT, Pele, has been struggling with colon cancer for the longest time. It's been hospitalized, and he's not doing well. Reports are still murky about his current condition, but what has been reported is he's apparently watching the World Cup from his hospital bed. And with them knowing that, you know the Brazilian side is going to dedicate this World Cup run to their version of Football Jesus. Now, in their way, the Croatian team that came runners-up 4 years ago. So they are no slouch. But I think, come on, it's Brazil. They're going to punch their way through to the next round and possibly a dream scenario matchup up against their eternal rivals, the Gary Oak to their ash Argentina. In round of 16, the Socceroos put up a good fight. They took Argentina down to the wall. But much like the other Rock Leagues of the tournament, they eventually had to make way for Nauru. And no shame. It's been a great tournament for the Aussies. My only issue with the Socceroos is why does Australia get a pass for calling it soccer, but America is like labeled Philippines for saying the word? Now, for our last bout of the quarters, we actually have one Cinderella that made it through North Africa in the motherfucking house. Goddamn Morocco took out Spain.
Hey, my friend! Hey, good luck. You're a good team, huh? And part this way.
Hey, don't get a choice. Morocco, this isn't a feel-good story. They aren't just a lucky Cinderella to make it this far. They are balling. Because they are playing pretty much as good as anyone save Brazil at the moment. They have players. They are technically gifted. An excellent set piece taker. And have a pace to run by pretty much anyone. This team is a fucking problem for everyone at this tournament. And in a World Cup that has been ruthless to Cinderellas, Morocco has become the hunter. I said that all the Rock Leagues got eliminated, but this one just took off all his weight, and he is ready to fuck up Portugal. But, it will be hard, because Portugal is 6-1, a very underrated Swiss team, and they did it without starting to dominate Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes, there's trouble in paradise for Portugal, as Ronaldo was apparently banned for being committed, and dissension that he showed towards the team after he was substituted halfway through the second half. Much like when they stopped starting him at Manchester United, the team looked better without him. Now, for many of my American friends, this is probably mind-blowing. Why would they not start Ronaldo? And the best way that I can say it is Ronaldo's in the twilight of his career, man. And not like a Tom Brady twilight. I mean like a LeBron James twilight. And I mean even more washed than that. And he simply is unwilling to accept it. At the start of this tournament, he forced his way off of Manchester United because he wasn't starting. And now time is flat circle because he's doing basically the same thing over at Portugal. And once again, it's backfired on him because the team is playing better without him. Barring injury, we'll see how he gets back into this lineup. And he was replaced by a 21-year-old who went on to go and score a hat trick while he just stared with a forced smile and a substitution bid. You know this man was seething. My dude was this meme incredible. And little did we know how much of an absolute banger the round of 8 was going to be. Yeah, that was one of the most sensational rounds for the World Cup I've ever witnessed. That's the stuff that makes you fall in love with the World Cup all over again. Upsets, last-second heartbreaks, legacies that were ending, and where legends were born. All right, so let's play it out as it happened. First game of the Final 8 was Brazil versus the 2018 runners-up Croatia. Now, Brazil came into in scintillating form, destroying the South Koreans in ways Kim Jong-un could only dream about. And Croatia, well, Croatia has pretty much continued the strat from last World Cup, in which they drag a game into injury time and then clutch on pens. That's how they made the Final 4 years ago, and somehow they're still getting away with it. This team is pretty much running a Pokemon Showdown strat for 2 World Cups in a row, and no one can figure it out. And it was all going to plan. The 0-0 draw after regulation and deep into the first period of extra time, which is basically their version of overtime, when the script went tits up for Croatia. Every once in a while, a special player seizes the moment. After a jealous acceptance of passes, Neymar Jr. burst through the line, rounded the keeper, and delivered a dagger to Croatian hearts. It was a goal worthy to win anywhere, in any way. Neymar had done it. He had saved Brazil. He had saved Pele with that sensation. And the Croatians said, call an ambulance. But not for me, because in the second period of OT, they found a goal out of their ass. And then it was game on. Right back into the Croatian round, because they stalled that shit out and went to pen. And once you're in pen, they're no longer playing the beautiful game. For all their flair and technical ability, none of that mattered anymore for Brazil, because you don't use any of that when you're in a penalty area. You're no longer Brazil's realm. You're in Croatia's realm. And Croatia, they were born in it, molded by it. They didn't see the game end in regulation until they were but a man. And when it all came down to just who had the better nerves, and you factor in that the Croatians, many of whom grew up around Civil War, well, the shootout was another day. From that point on, you knew what was going to happen. The Croatians smothered the Brazilians, dead and buried in the deserts of Sahara. And with that, a legacy was ended. Reportedly, Neymar said that he's going to retire after this World Cup. We'll see about that. He's probably got one more in him. As for Croatia, like the little green sealers they are, looking to spoil yet another legacy. Yeah, this World Cup run for them can pretty much be summed up by this.
I'm about to end this man's whole
International career. In the next round, let's be honest, they'll inevitably take Messi to extra time and bury his goat corpse in the desert as well. But moving on, because basically, Netherlands tried to do what Croatia's going to try to do. And if you didn't watch the Argentina versus Netherlands game, here's the only footage people will allow me to show. It was just an all-out brawl. I think it set a record for most yellow cards in a game, and I have no idea why this was so spicy. Y'all never fought a war against each other, right? But it was so fucking chippy. That's been coming when Mr. Paredes committed 2 possible yellow card offenses in a single game before blasting a ball directly into the Dutch bench. And it was a perfect encapsulation of that. Just unneeded pettiness. And with that ball rocketing into the Dutch side, both benches cleared. Like a baseball through the batter's head. And it was so weird, man. Messi could have been called for 2 yellow cards. A lot of Dutch fans were complaining about that. You gotta remember, goats don't have arms. They only have legs. Them be the rules, all right? And early on, it looked like it was all Argentina. They got a commanding 2-goal lead, and they were just sailing, controlling the match. But somehow, the Dutch fought back in a dramatic fashion. Literally, with the final kick of regulation, off of some training ground bullshit, they get the set-piece routine of dreams, sliding the ball into the far corner of the net and taking it to extra time. After 2 periods of their OT, yet again, penalty shootouts. And once again, the Argentinians seemed to take a commanding lead. But once again, the Dutch almost got in the penalty shootout. Argentina a little bit choky. To once again, fall so short. And it was a game for the ages. In all he's been a quiet man for the entirety of his career. Walked over to the Dutch bench and started talking shit to the coach, Louis van Gaal, of Then during an interview, a Dutch player just wanted to come over and shake his hand. In Spanish, he told him, "What are you looking at? What are you looking at, dummy? What are you looking at, dummy?" The man, who's been a babyface his whole entire career, did a heel turn in one game. It's like he got that Michael Jordan in him for this tournament. He's taking everything personal. And I cannot wait for that 4-part docuseries showing all the behind-the-scenes and interviews from Lionel Messi's Last Dance World Cup. It's coming, baby. You know it's coming. And this match with the Netherlands, oh, God. That episode's going to be gorgeous. This was a game that will live rent-free in our minds forever. The reason why the World Cup is so special. For everyone who says that Argentina yelling and screaming at the Dutch is everything wrong with the game, I couldn't disagree more. Because to me personally, there is nothing greater to watch in sports than when two teams I lived for the petty, and the Argentines left no petty on the bus, punching the ball into the bench, to the BM right to the faces of the shattered Dutch, and all the way to Messi calling a losing Dutch player a bozo and to look somewhere else, loser. Why were they so angry? Who cares? It was amazing. And I'll remember it forever. Because
there are only two things I can't stand in this world. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
honestly, I don't get too started these narratives, because all I've been hearing people complain on social media is when a South American team dances, or when they yell in their opponent's faces after winning a Copa, it's disrespectful. It's ruining the game. Really? Really, dog? But, every time England does it, no one bats an eye. I don't hear any complaints. Look at this dance. You understand how disrespectful it is to have Peter Crouch do a fucking robot on you? And I remember from last World Cup, when a couple of Europe players yelling in the faces of the losing team. But when a South American team does it, it's ruining it. Okay. All I'm saying is, keep the same energy. Because the same people moaning about this will turn around and hit the 40 every time they score a goal. This is sport. It's simulated war as entertainment. If you don't want them to dance, then win. And because of this fight, it'll be all that much sweeter when you do. So I say, embrace the fight. Dance on the graves of your enemies. And then, the next match, we had Portugal versus Morocco. In this match, can be summed up as basically a team united is greater than a team divided. Pretty good. Because of that, lads, we've done it. The first African team to ever make it into a World Cup semifinal. A sensational moment for Africa and the Arab world. And they did it by 0-3. They won their group. They beat Portugal. They beat Spain. None of this was given. It was earned. And when you see them play, on the counterattack, they were shot out of the rocket. Amrabat running the show in the midfield. Hakim is the best fullback in the world right now. And Hakim Ziyech will make them a threat from any second. Or, by the way, defensively, they conceded one goal the entire tournament. Defensively shutting down two powerhouse nations who've been scoring goals for fun before meeting the boys from Casablanca. That's right, their keeper has been fucking Gandalf in front of them. Pass. I said in all my previous videos that someone no one expected was coming out of nowhere. And that country, this World Cup, is Morocco. And they will represent Africa and the nation for the first time in World Cup history. Playing as well as anyone at this tournament, and in a style that can beat anyone at this tournament. And then there's the big one of the round. England versus France. And England, oh England, I'm sorry, bro. And I don't know if you can blame Southgate on this one, man. He played for it. It wasn't the conservative game plan that many have criticized him about. Said he had a plan to keep Mbappe in check. And yeah, they kept him off the score sheet. And they didn't go down without a fight. They produced some excellent chances. They just didn't convert. And France were kind of naive. Giving away multiple penalties. And they could have easily given away one or two more. But at the end of the day, as it is with England in so many tournaments, it came down to a penalty kick. And Harry Kane, who already stepped up and dagger early in the game, did the exact same routine. He stepped up, checked his socks, took a deep breath, and he swept through the ball. Only to sail miles over the crossbar. And from that point on, everyone in the world knew that it was over. France kept on providing excellent service to Giroud, and he finally committed one. Tchouaméni and scored a screamer from outside of the box, and just like that, the defending champs are moving on. As for England, another sensational tournament run, cut short and in all too familiar fashion. A sickeningly against a historic rival in a World Cup that was very winnable for them. I have nothing snarky or snide to say. All I can say is my condolences, because this is a generationally bitter sport. As for the French, the talent won out again, man. It was just too OP. Yeah, they weren't flawless. Too many give it, and too many took it away. With that story, he also gave away a penalty by siphoning down shots. And defending all around was reckless. Theo Hernandez barging into the back of Mason Mount. He's going nowhere. If Mason Mount, he's gonna miss. And even with all that, their talent still pushed them through. And they're once again into the semifinals in a very winnable match up against Morocco. So there you have it, the final four of what has been one of the best World Cups in recent memory. The Argentina transforming into the villains of the tournament in order to solidify the legacy of their god, Lionel Messi. Returning once again to another semifinal. Can they keep running their star all the way to back-to-back World Cup final appearances? We'll see. Can France's insane talent pool carry them to become first back-to-back World Cup champions since 1962? And Morocco, bearing the flag for the African and Arab world. Desperately running from the clock striking midnight. The Cinderella run. This is what you wait 4 years for. And first up, what is Argentina? Croatia. Now, Croatia got here by continuing the strat from 4 years ago. For you guys who don't know, they were runners-up for the World Cup in Russia. And they did it by pretty much stalling out games until it was a penalty shootout, and then clutching on penalties. Took out tournament darlings Japan, and the last time they took out tournament favorites Brazil. And they were looking to employ the same strat up against Messi and Argentina. Their solid defense was a puzzle that no team has solved, except for France 4 years ago. But Argentina finally tried something that no other team had, and that was to run right down the middle, multiple times. And that somehow worked. I don't know how, and I didn't see this coming. But all kidding aside, the Argentinians caught the Croatians napping for a split second. And that's all it took. A single ball over the top unlocked their safety vault of a defense, and it led to them giving away a penalty. Lionel Messi playing, he stepped up, took a deep breath, and absolutely murdered this thing into the top hole. And he was like a man on a mission. Which, I mean, you would expect from someone who many have labeled the GOAT, but this one surprised a lot of Americans. As flawless as Lionel Messi's club career has been, his international career has been quite human. You gotta remember, he only captured his first international trophy last year in the Copa America. And yes, he's been in the World Cup final before, but I would say far away, this World Cup has been his most influential of any of his major tournaments. Because after that shock loss to the Saudis in the opening game, people were literally asking, where's Messi? The little Argentinian turned around and said, I'm right fucking here, because he's been on a tear. He's been joint tied with Mbappe for the Golden Boot race, and he has been playing fucking angry. And it's all to get him and this country to this final. And when you saw him sink that penalty versus Croatia, you could feel the venom coursing through this man's face. And energized from this goal, Argentina would push their advantage. When minutes later, another run right down the middle by Julian Alvarez, who's been having a sensational tournament so far, got a series of insanely lucky deflections. Not only bounced right back into the path of multiple times, but the ball propped up perfectly past the Croatian keeper. And when we saw that happen, you could just feel that the football gods were with the boys in sky blue this day. As the Croatians all tournament long, just waiting for the rabbits to pull out of their magic hat. And in the 69th minute, Lionel Messi would wiggle away from another defender and send a cutback. Once again, Alvarez was gleefully there to receive the ball and deliver it into the back of the net once again. And with the commanding 3-0 lead, Argentina punched their ticket into the World Cup final. As for Croatia, let's be honest, they can leave Qatar with their heads held high. They have nothing to be ashamed about. To nearly make it back-to-back World Cup final appearances was an incredible accomplishment for a nation. And honestly, we should no longer view them as some cheeky underdog, but actually put them where they belong, as a country that should join the elites of the modern footballing superpowers. And I mean, come on. At minimum, we should put them above them. As for the Argentinians, this World Cup, since the beginning, has been about one man, Lionel Messi. As I said before, this World Cup final is about love. And a World Cup win is the only blemish on this man's otherwise immaculate footballing career. And here they are, on the precipice of sports immortality. But standing in the path are the OP dogs themselves, France. They walked through the group stages, made light work of Poland, and then saw Hurricane miss a penalty, which sent them into the semifinals. The Cinderella darlings of the tournament, Morocco. And Morocco, they've been the story of this tournament. Giant-slaying colonizer after colonizer. And playing a style that could beat any team. But up against France, the clock finally struck midnight for the Cinderella story. The goal in the opening 5 minutes, they came through a sensational assist from Theo Hernandez, had the Moroccans chasing the game for the first time all day. And chase, they threw everything at the French. From an overhead kick that was inches away from the right side of the post to another goal mouth scramble. It hit Jules Koundé, who honestly just happened to be at the right place at the right time. But after creating chance after chance after chance, simply nothing could find its way into the back of the net. And as the game neared the 80th minute, Kylian Mbappe received the ball at the top of the box. Twinkle-toed his way around a nest of defenders and found a half-yard of space, where he fired a shot that was deflected off a Moroccan defender. Only for a freshly subbed on Kolo Muani to gamble at the back post and punch France's ticket into the final. And it was a devastating heartbreak for the Moroccans, who had been the adopted sons of Qatar this tournament. Many of the players' faces adorned the buildings of Doha, and despite falling just short of a final appearance. Their sensational run will be what many remember when they think back on the 2022 World Cup. So to Morocco and all their fans, take a fucking bow, because bravo, Morocco. Bravo. As for France, well, the world's talent factory has proved the claim true that they could field 2 teams in the World Cup and still be competitive, because half the squad is pretty much their B team. Make no mistake, this is a very different starting 11 from the lineup that won it all in Russia. But what has stayed the same is their young, sparkling talent. Kylian Mbappe is right there with Messi as joint contenders for player of this tournament. He's not some terror on the left side of the pitch, but he's evolved from the player that he was 4 years ago. He was always one of the fastest human beings on the planet, but now he's combined that blinding pace with a variety of dazzling tricks and a deadly array of shots that has taken him from Charmander to Charizard over the past 4 years. And with Messi and Ronaldo in the twilights of their careers, Mbappe and Erling Haaland look all but destined to become this next generation's great players, and possibly the sport's next great rivalry. And to possibly secure his second title, while Lionel Messi from winning his first, well, that's how legends are made. The final on Sunday is more than 13 nations battling out for bragging rights for the next 4 years. It is the past and future of the world colliding, and after those 90 minutes plus on Sunday, legacies will forever be broken or made. This is the last dance of all last dances, and we are all privileged to bear witness to such a historic moment. And with the World Cup final set, our main players took to the stage, and their final performance did not disappoint as it unfolded with all the drama of a Spanish novela. But at first, it was looking like it was going to be a rout for Messi and co. The first half was all Argentina, with France looking completely lost. And in the 20th minute, Di Maria caught a naive Ousmane Dembele napping for a split second. And as he turned him around, he slowed down his pace, tangled his legs, and won a penalty off of him. And just like that, Lionel Messi was on the penalty spot. All on the line. And none of that pressure mattered for 1 minute of time, as he clearly slotted it home. Not even a hint of nerves. Just a man dialed into a singular race. And then 13 minutes later, Argentina would put together one of the best team goals of the tournament. This thing was a work of art. A string of one-touch passes with Lionel Messi starting the counterattack would slice open the butthole of the French, sending a streaking McAllister in on net, who would then unselfishly play it across the box to an unmarked Di Maria, who struck the ball into the ground, bouncing over a charging Hugo Lloris. And as the ball found the back of the net, the majority Argentinian crowd of the stadium went from cacophonous to ravenous.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening.
Procedure, everyone. What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
It felt like a coronation. Messi was on his way to his fairy tale ending. And you gotta remember, it was a big gamble playing Di Maria in this final, especially after missing all of the knockout round. But after 35 minutes, his inclusion seemed like a stroke of masterclass.